This is killing players' handles, and it'll actually make your handles weak. Being over protective with the basketball. Make sure you watch everything, because if you go out and just like try to not be as protective with the basketball, you might not like your results in games. There's a level of detail to understand. A lot of coaches will tell players to always protect the basketball. So they always want them to like maybe do a crossover back by the hip, or they always want to have an offhand in front of the basketball, or they always want to have protection dribble, or even doing behind the backs, and they're always worried about keeping the ball from getting stolen. Big problem with that. And there's two big reasons why. Number one, it's the mentality. If you're always worried about the defender stealing the basketball, guess what you're thinking about? The defender stealing the basketball. A lot of sports psychology studies and psychology studies, period, have shown that what you focus on tends to happen. Therefore, if you're thinking about the ball being stolen, guess what might happen more often? The ball getting stolen. But that being said, let's say you're really good at this. You're always just worried about making sure the defender doesn't steal the basketball. So you're going behind your back, you're going into these protection dribbles, you're using this offhand. Guess what you're also not doing? You're not creating a whole lot. You're standing in one spot. You're moving slower than you need to, because you're always worried about the defender getting at the basketball, and you're missing out on a lot of opportunities. I'm not saying we should never protect the basketball, never go behind the back, none of that stuff. I'm just saying if that's all you're ever doing, it could be a problem. But there's going to be times where you need to protect the basketball. You need to be ready with a behind the back, whatever type of protection you want to use. But you also have to get good at exposing the basketball and letting the basketball go. So I'm going to go over three main concepts you want to understand that you'll also want to practice, and then I'll have a way for you to master them at the end. First main way you would want to expose the basketball is using it to sell fakes. You see players do this all the time. Allen Iverson is one that really popularized it by coming from the hesitation, stepping out, putting the basketball out there to really sell the fake, and then crossing over. So you can use it as a tool to help sell your fakes. You got 5 tools to sell your fakes: your eyes, your hips and your chest, moving those, your feet, moving those. To some degree, your off arm can help sell a fake, especially when we're talking a shot fake. Hezzy, we'll come back to that in a second. And then the basketball. The more you can get those 5 things in place, generally speaking, those fakes are gonna work better for most moves. One quick side note to keep in mind is exposing the basketball by having it wide sometimes is a good way to protect it. If I got a defender here, well, it's gonna be more protected out wide here than it is here. Second way you might wanna expose the basketball is just pushing it out into open space, not having what I call high ball and hand time. So a lot of times I teach players to have what I say is a high ball and hand time, meaning one of your hands is on the basketball for as long of the dribble motion as possible. So on a crossover, I want my hands close to each other. I'd want them low to the ground. Regular dribble, I would want to have my hand low to the ground on the catch and the release. I'd want to float the dribble. And if I snap my wrist at the end, that will get the basketball moving from one hand to the other quicker, therefore meaning the ball's out of my hands less time, in my hand longer time. Well, there's times where you're gonna wanna throw that out the window and expose the basketball by pushing it out into open space. Let's say I got a defender here, they're tight on me, their hands are down low. I might wanna throw the basketball like that into a crossover instead of my typical crossover, because they're down here waiting, and maybe there's a bunch of open space over here. Well, if I'm always thinking, okay, I gotta protect the basketball, then I gotta do it behind the back, that might not give me enough time to beat the defender because it's not quite as quick. I gotta come from this and then start stepping through. But if I do either a throw crossover or even a wrap behind the back where I'm pushing it out into space and letting the basketball go, that allows me to get my feet moving more quickly to take advantage of those opportunities, get the ball into that open space, and now attack. Another example of this would be is maybe there's a bunch of open space over here. My defender's here, not a lot of help defense there. I could push it out, get out to this open space. But if I'm always thinking in terms of, okay, I gotta keep my body between the defender and the basketball, or I've gotta keep my offhand here, that's gonna slow that motion down. Sometimes you just gotta get it out there and get into that space. And this could even apply to a regular dribble when you're attacking. More often than not, I try to tell players to attack like this so they have protection. However, there's going to be times maybe the defender's a little bit here, they're too tight on me, they're down low, and I can throw the basketball like we talked about, like with the throw crossover, and I just gotta get it out into this space. Then I can chase it down, get a head full of steam to the rim, especially if there's open space there or no rim protector, you gotta attack quick. One other thing to consider is when you expose the basketball, you can kind of protect it by keeping this off arm, shoulder, and hand down and using your leg for protection while still being in attack mode, right? I can come past my defender if they're right there with a lot of protection and still get a head full of steam. I don't always have to be worried so much about protecting the ball. I can still be aggressive while protecting the ball. Third concept, I'm gonna have to show you a couple of ways with this, is using the basketball as bait. So the one a lot of players know is like something like the sham guide. You push it out there to try to get the defender to reach for it, come get it with the other hand and go this way. Well, you could even do that with, let's say, you know, just hezzying and letting the ball right in front of the defender, waiting for them to reach, and then going into whatever crossover. You could do a throw, you could hezzy, wait for them to reach, go between the legs. It's up to your imagination, but the idea is letting the defender go for the basketball. Or even earlier where we were talking about, let's say, where we push the basketball out there. A lot of times you'll see like Kyrie Irving do this and some other guards as well. They'll get into the paint and they'll push the basketball out and kind of high and just let it float on its own. And sometimes they'll sell some little fakes while it's in the air, things like that, because they know a lot of the bigs that are going to be waiting for him in the paint aren't as agile as him. So because of that, you can kind of play with them, get them to try to reach for the basketball or just free his feet up to start selling fakes with his feet. It is a little bit of a risky move, which is why it's important you understand something we're going to go over in a second. But this and all the things with exposing the basketball are going to have a level of risk, but they're also going to have a high level of reward. One other way you'll see a lot of players use the basketball as bait is shot fake hezzy, right? You're going to slow everything down, keep the basketball right in front of you where it's right in the middle, easier for a defender to get to. And then from there, if you get him to come up on you, go for the basketball, try to block your shot, whatever, boom, you can attack. To make this work, you've got to get good at knowing how and when to expose the basketball in games, and you've got to be able to control the basketball well. Otherwise, yeah, the risk reward isn't going to work out in your favor, right? You're going to be trying to expose the basketball, maybe getting the ball stolen a lot. Maybe you're not quick enough with your movements. Maybe you're not controlled with it when you're exposing it like this, or with the basketball in your hand, or whatever the case may be. So you've got to get that down. Pinned to the top comment is a free workout that will help you with getting better at exposing the basketball. And if you get that workout, I'll actually follow up with some hacks that will help you get better with controlling the basketball and, of course, exposing it. Thanks for watching.